And today we have Finn, who is a poet, podcaster, and professional wrestler. You may not think that would gel as well as it does, but all three mediums are about storytelling. That is what he loves to do, tell a dynamic story to whoever will listen. So, with on further ado, here is Finn. Take it away.
Hey guys,
You.
as you said, my name is Finn. Well, I go by the friendly neighborhood nerd, but Finn for short, just a little bit easier for people to kind of digest and easier to put on an open mic listing. But yes, I want to talk to you guys today about something that I basically struggle with a lot is writing when you can't write. So let me get into this for you guys real quick. Hope you guys are doing good today. Thank you guys for coming out and joining in this with me. It's a true honor for me to be able to close out the Jack's Poetry Fest. And yeah, we definitely are going to have a great little time and we're going to write a dope little piece today. So, of course, like I said, this is called Turning the Page, Writing When You Can't Write, Finding Inspiration Through Depression. So, who am I? As she stated, I'm a friendly neighborhood nerd. I'm a poet, a podcaster, a professional wrestler, and a content creator. I am a writer of about, like I said, 12 years, I want to say. Been writing since like high school, short stories, blog formats, things of that nature. I'm a mental health awareness advocate. It is a big thing. A part of my message is to make sure that people are checking on themselves mentally, checking in with their friends and things like that. I had a wonderful friend who just passed recently. She was a tremendous pillar in my life about mental health awareness, and I also partnered with her and Stronger Than Stigma to get out the message to always be aware of where you are. So yeah, and also I'm a blurred. I'm a black nerd. I'm a avid nerdy geeky person. If you see with the stuff behind me or so, but yes, but I'm also currently depressed. And being a writer, being depressed is something very hard that you kind of have to push through and struggle with. But today, we're going to go through and write a piece together. We will learn how to write a poem when you are struggling to create. We'll work through the steps that will get you back into your rhythm of creating as well. You'll find out about my method called the 4 R's and how I also use what's called a brain dump to get all my emotions out. And as well, we'll write a brand new piece of poetry together. All right. So, firstly, we got to talk about struggles. You may not be as I am, like depressed or anything, but we all have struggles that we go through as well. And we definitely want to kind of at least acknowledge that. So, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Firstly, what is giving you your anxiety if you're feeling that? How long has it been since you've last created? Where are you stopping in your creative process? Have you even started your creative process? Can you at least like step outside of yourself sometimes, like kind of see the big picture of what's going on? And is the thing that's causing you problems or what you're struggling with, is it in your control? Can you even like be the one to fix this? So that's a lot of things that we have to deal with. Here's some statistics that I've found on on depression. An estimated 21 million Americans over the age of 18 has had at least one major depressive episode in their lives. And for adolescents or kids 12 to 17, it's about 4.1 million. That's a lot of people. And when it comes to being a creative, a writer, writers are actually found to be 8 times more likely to suffer from mental illness than those who don't pursue writing as a creative outlet or process or career. So yeah, we talk a lot about our feelings when it comes to poetry. It is a great outlet to express ourselves, and we basically need to give ourselves that time to recognize what's going on if we're struggling. So I told you guys that I have a method of getting through things like this. When it comes to actually getting back into the rhythm, I start with what's called the 4 R's. What are the 4 R's, you may be asking? So currently, you recognize that you're struggling. You rediscover your why, or even sometimes your dark why. You start by reclaiming your voice, and then you reconnect your heart and um, you reconnect your heart and your mind back to where you can reestablish that creative juices. Okay. So step one is always recognize that you're struggling. It's maybe hard to do because you're gonna want to be like, hey, I'm doing all right, like I'm making it, I'm okay. But sometimes you have to call out your struggles. That's the first step of recognizing that you're struggling. Either be verbally or writing it down or so. Because today, like I said, we're gonna be writing down. If you guys have like a pen, piece of paper, we're gonna be do a couple of exercises as well too. If you want to join in with those. You also need to find help for your struggles, whether it be a professional therapist or a psychiatrist, or you can talk to a friend, talk to your support system, your tribe, whatever you need to find help getting through this struggle, seek it out. Going at it alone is not the best option because I've discovered that the most things that I need or so sometimes is just a little bit of help or confirmation from either a friend or if I need to seek speaking with, like say, my therapist or so, just kind of getting that out and having someone there kind of as a listening ear as well. You have to, as I said, get all of your thoughts out. We're going to go through a few tools today that will help you as well express yourself by getting all of your thoughts out, either on paper or at least or digitally, if you guys want to take things down in like the digital notes or so. So, and lastly, don't sit in your struggle. Sitting in your struggle is the worst thing you can do because you're going to overthink and you're going to run through a feedback loop of, hey, what is this? What happened this way? Or should I have done that? Or like, what could have been if I would have stayed in this? Or oh my God, I should have said that. Or like, I've run through that a lot. It's one of my anxiety triggers. I overthink and over rethink everything. So I definitely understand how getting stuck by sitting in that struggle does get you in that rut. So this guy here is honestly the reason why I kind of made this method. This is a YouTuber named Strudless. He is a motivational YouTuber, but he's also going through a lot of turmoil and just kind of like struggle with his mental health or so. And he's gotten to a point where he's gotten a lot of ways or so to kind of get over those humps. One way was discovering your why and your dark why. He really put a game changer into my life when it came to that. So everyone knows what your why is, your reason that you're motivated for your passion, that positive influence in your life, that warm and fuzzy feeling that like lights up your heart and gets in your stomach or so. You use that when you're down and you're just like, oh, I got to pull myself out of the mud and I got to get back into this. This is why I'm doing this. These people are why I'm doing it for. This is why I'm doing it. But sometimes your why may not be shining enough to get you through. And that's where it comes in your dark why. Your dark why is something that I've learned that you can utilize when you don't when you don't have like the energy, and this gives you that little bit of nitrous boost. Your dark why is that negative motivation, embracing your petty nature, proving them wrong sometimes, and using your anxiety as your advantage. You may be thinking like, wow, your petty nature, honestly, is not something that you always rely on, especially when you are working through your creative process. But sometimes some of the most motivating things come from when I'm trying to prove someone wrong. I've been podcasting since 2014. And the reason why I have been podcasting since 2014, because in that first year of podcasting, someone told me that your passion will only take you so far. You're not going to be out here in a couple years. You're going to probably be giving up on this, da 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 da. I took that and I used that to prove them wrong. I've been podcasting and I love podcasting. It's honestly become one of my passions that I want to move forward in for the rest of my days. So you can use either one or both of these reasons for finding your rhythm back or your motivation again to write. Because sometimes you just need that little kick in the back. And then once you get that, okay, boom, I'm in it. I'm back into the writing again. Okay. So right now we're going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to give you guys a quick second or two to write down examples of your why. Like you get two examples of your why and one dark why that you could use for motivation. So if you guys, it's 12:17 Eastern Standard Time. So right, 12:19, we'll move forward. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time, okay? Alrighty. So now we got in our why, we got in the dark why as well. That'll move us into the next part of this, reclaiming your voice. So when a lot of times we get into a point where after we've come out of a depressive episode or just an episode of struggle, we don't sound the same. I find that with myself, my poetry has changed over the years. I look back at my old poems and think like, okay, yeah, I get that, like, but I'm a new person now. I'm a different person now. And that's all well and fine because the message may be new, but the voice is still the same. You are still yourself. So the voice is still within you to express that way. The message is what's new. I used to write my poetry from a perspective of someone who was a young, nerdy, single person or whatever, and I would write that way or so, or just kind of reminiscent of nostalgic things of my past. But now I find myself kind of reflecting and thinking about the legacy I want to leave behind when I, like I said, when I go forward. I'm in a relationship now. I talk about things differently than I would when I'm single. So yeah, so the message is new, but I'm still the same friendly neighborhood nerd. Also, as well, don't be afraid to express these new thoughts and emotions, because the same way someone wanted to hear your old poetry or your old writing or so, people want to hear your new thoughts. They want to see the evolution of the writer behind the pen. That is a good thing to always think of. Just because you may feel like the thoughts are different doesn't mean someone doesn't want to hear them. And another one I would also say is don't force the feeling. If you feel like you're trying to write about something new in your life, but it doesn't feel natural to talk about it right now, don't do it. Just go ahead and let it flow. As you are at the moment, you know what you are ready to tackle emotionally. And with that new process that you're trying to get yourself into, only do things that feel natural and feel right to you, because if it feels forced, it'll come across in your writing. Okay. So now we've gone through reclaiming your voice. We have to reestablish the connection at this point. And what that means is you need to get your heart, your hands, and your mind speaking the same love language. I have a poem that's called Writer's Block, and it's talking about the time when I was struggling to get through this. This is when I started developing these methods or so. And I said that my hands and my heart and my hands don't speak the same love language right now. And that's really important because if you get your hands, your heart, and your mind all on the same page, the writing will come. I've had definitely struggles to where I knew exactly what I wanted to write. I knew what I needed to say, but my hands and my heart were not on the same page. My heart was like, talk, talk, talk. My hands were like, I don't think we're ready yet. My mind was like, I know what I want to say, but my heart and my hands were like, nah, not yet. Give it a second where it feels right. Make sure that you check in with yourself. It's a lot about showing yourself empathy. And a lot of people don't realize that or so because again, you have to show yourself empathy the way you show other people in your life empathy because you need that same grace as well. We're the most harshest critics on ourselves at times. You have to keep moving forward through your writer's block because even if you write down a word a day, even if you write down a sentence a week, that is you writing. You have to acknowledge that any little thing that you write is you practicing your craft of writing. So move forward through writer's block, no matter how slow or arduous you may feel, you're building that consistency, that rhythm of writing as well, okay? And make sure that you always get your thoughts on paper. I know I have a lot of methods of doing that, be either it be voice notes where I'm doing speech to text to my phone, or I just pull out a little pen and paper. So I keep a little notebook in my book bag. Yeah, keep a little notebook in my book bag. A little bookie. It's in here, I promise. I have a lot of little things that I walk around with myself with. Look, also keep a copy of my zine. Yeah, it's a little yellow notebook. I don't know why it's being so difficult. Yeah, no. But I keep a little yellow notebook with me because it's being my book bag is being difficult. Keep a little yellow notebook with me that basically has me like kind of actively journal as I go throughout my day or so. And as well with that, it gives you that little spark of like, hey, I'm writing now. Okay. A lot of the times you acknowledge what you're doing by, like I said, the things that you could tangibly, physically touch. So having something to write things down on paper with is a perfect thing. And a way to do that is a brain dump. That moves us into our next activity or so. So what is a brain dump actually? So if you see here, I have a couple of examples of me brain dumping as well. I do it digitally, but I also have it written down as sometimes depending on what I'm doing. But a brain dump is a writing exercise to get your thoughts out and onto paper. It's a tool to also organize your ideas because you'll be able to categorize things. No thought or idea is irrelevant or not important enough to put down. Anything that's in your head at the moment, dump it out on the paper, okay? As well, you see, you organize and categorize your thoughts, what you need to kind of do, and as well, you'll be able to do certain things. One second. One second. Sorry about that. All right, so yes, you'll be able to organize, categorize your thoughts as well on here, and then from there, you'll be able to make it make sense to you. Okay. Once you make it make sense to you, that's all that matters, all right? Because all the things that I do here, as long as it makes sense to you, that is where we're going to be going, okay? So now we're going to take a quick 3 minutes or so, and then we're going to do a brain dump for yourself. Go ahead and write it out. Just, how could I say, focus stream of consciousness, like just whatever you're thinking, whatever you're struggling with, write it on a piece of paper, and we're going to take 3 minutes to do that. It's currently 12:26 Eastern Standard Time. So around like 12:29, I'll give you probably like 12:30 or so. We'll come back and then we will regroup after that, okay? Alrighty. Been about 3 minutes or so. So like I said, you just dump any of your thoughts out. It doesn't have to be completed so as well, because you'll be able to kind of give yourself that time to work on a few things as well. Okay. But now moving back into things, and we're going to bring it all together. Okay. We're going to use the tools that we've given today, the 4 R's, your why, your dark why, and your brain dump. And we want to let you know this is not just a rigid system. This is a toolkit, something that you'll be able to come back and utilize pieces or use the whole thing. You can make this method your own. There's no right or wrong way to do this, and you can take what works for you and build off this lesson. I just want everyone to be able to create boldly, which is actually the slogan or the motto for my zine, Voices in Bold. Just create boldly. So it's a way of life now. So now we're going to take about 5 more minutes or so, and we're going to, well, I'll probably give you a little bit more time as well, because like I said, I finished up a little earlier. So, but we're going to give you some time to write a poem. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you guys until about 36, 37, see where we're at, and we're going to just write a piece from the information that you kind of put together here. You can organize your ideas and thoughts and things like that, and then give yourself a little bit of time to write a quick poem, nothing too big, nothing too long or so. Just give yourself some freedom to create openly, okay? All right, give it a little bit of extra time or so. So if you guys have poems or so, if anyone would want to share, I can go. I'll share mine that I've written as well. I haven't gotten a title yet. Finding myself here in the impasse, the last of my brain cells lash out, wondering if all the others were right. But now those days are so far out of from my view, and the stress of the day lingers on. But I know that my path forward pushes strong. Now that my tears have grown cold, I know that they wouldn't want my work to grow stagnant. The orchids of life float like fireflies, or should I really say leaves on the wind? Many, many moments I think back on still find me a grin. So, oh wow. Yeah. So I want you guys to know, like I said, if you feel like you didn't finish a poem, no poetry is ever finite. You can still edit, revise, evolve a poem. The point from you creating it, you're not anything too far off from doing that. So, as well, if you feel like if you feel like you are, go back and use the tools that we've given today in this method to help you out. Let's see, we have a couple people who want to share. Jim, would you want to go first?
Sure, thank you. So it's rough. There's certain parts where the order's not right, but I'd love to jump in. Transitive verbs, push me, pull use, different glacial feathers, B4, turning games of my fingers, bird above glaciers and telescopes, Capistrano, poetry teammates, yo, N-O, we can jet with parabolas, song stewardesses, webbed Commodore, zoom, zoom, as if I'm the mother figure dad, worm in mouth, pushing it in the older baby, coagulates, gulps, eats delicious. Different love. What do they call that Christian style of love? Inside. Did I say this again? Sorry. Inside out, go. You turn me. She's my date. Rolls Russian planes bumping us. Sky worms passes me to her like our WC Dr. William poet off the top rub. N-O arrow O-N rocket voltas whoosh.
Wow. Like I said again, it's the emotion and the full breath of you breathing into the words that you've written down. So like again, main thing is getting that process started as well. Renee, you also would like to share?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Drippy rain, I fret. I'm gloomy about my state. I wished I lived somewhere else. Wished it act like spring for one day. I know it's April, but wished it act like spring for one day. My troubles are thorns and weeds on the soil. No beautiful flowers grow. My future paved like a parking lot. Wished it act like spring for one day.
All right, thank you so very much for sharing that. Like I said again, I know I'm an April baby. They always say April showers bring May flowers, but I hate when it rains so much during my birthday month. But yes, that is such a lovely thing. I want you guys to share your poems or share your pieces if you want with someone that's very special to you. You know, like I said, y'all don't have to share them here, but I appreciate everyone who shared their poems today. Always make sure as well that you have, like I said, just something that you can refer back to as well. Okay. I know we had a couple of questions in the chat. Did anybody else have any particular questions now too? Okay. Yes.
Are you can you see my hand up?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. My poems tend to be short.
That's
And
same.
right, okay, and I just did a consultation with the poet in my area, and he suggested that he could teach me how to stretch my poems out. And I just kind of I didn't say anything, but
Mhm.
that didn't like, sort of like did a brain twist. It's
So
like,
yeah.
so
Mhm.
I don't, because earlier you were saying, like we can write in different styles or,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And I don't usually write a long poem unless the long poem comes to me. So I'm like, how do you deal with that kind of criticism? I mean, I have other
Um,
people who love my poems, just the
yeah.
way they are, but then I'm like with this person who's like stretch him out, and I'm like for some kind of public approval because he goes to a lot of events.
Mm.
And so how do you deal with that kind of criticism?
For me, I always because poetry is an art form that is very specific and personalized to the person doing it. I have very short poems. I have like I said, varying long length poems or so, but I always never get too caught up into this because this is something that you are giving out into the world. Like everything doesn't have to be a drawn out soliloquy that goes into a slam format that you perform for the next 20 minutes. Sometimes I have poems that last about 2 to 3 minutes, but it's about the emotion and impact that you have on the listeners or the readers if you're writing your poetry, then more so the appeasement of, oh, I have to have this out there in the world for people to just listen to and this, that, and the third, or they have to approve of it. As long as you're happy with your poem, and that is the main thing I want to stress. You have to make it make sense to you, and you have to be satisfied with it. But again, as I stated here, poetry isn't finite. You can have a short poem that you can come back to and add more to later, or you can have a long poem that you edit and say, "Hey, I need to kind of take this down a bit." Like poetry is a free flowing art that anybody can make their own easily, as long as you have the muse and you have the articulation of words. You can make poetry however long or short you want to.
Okay, thanks, Robert.
Yeah, of course, of course. So someone asked for my contact information as well. So yeah, you can find me on all social media at Babo FNN. You can find me at my main page, Babo FNN, or you can find as well my writing, Voices in Bold. And of course that also eludes me. I just had it up. Yeah, there it is. Voices in Bold is my zine. This is the first issue. It is a chapter about legacy, the legacy that I want to leave behind once I leave this mortal coil, basically. It's like 8 pages or so. All art or photos are in there taken by myself. Yeah, I have another issue coming out very soon if you want to follow as well too. And I really want to thank you guys for being here. This is such a very wonderful moment for me, and I do appreciate everyone who took their time out to come to the Jack's Poetry Fest throughout this entire series, and I'm very happy to be closing it out today.